Hope this game doesn't, like, try to do the whole tragedy behind the comedy thing.
And that's where you fucked up. I've been getting requests to review this game for about 2 years, and I wasn't quite sure if I was ready for it until now. The funny thing is, while I've been typecast as the Spider-Man guy on the internet, people in my personal life know me as the Deadpool guy. Every other article of clothing I own is black and red, I have that symbol on just about everything I own, and people at my high school sometimes don't even bother learning my name and just refer to me as Deadpool. This character is very special to me, and when the game was announced, I was beyond excited. In the 4 years since it's come out, this game has built up a kind of legacy that I'd like to talk about today, in addition to the usual review stuff. So imagine this as a retrospective of the Deadpool games. All one of them. In the 4 years since it came out, I think I finally realized something weird. This game nearly ruined Deadpool. Wait, okay, hear me out, alright? I think by the end of this you'll agree with me. Just give me a chance. Now before I get into that and talk about the real problem at the heart of this game, let's chat about the parts I like. That being pretty much all of the gameplay. Deadpool is an eccentric character to say the least, and he's a bit eclectic when it comes to methods of ultraviolence. But he's always got a brutal solution in mind whenever he encounters a problem. This game captures Deadpool's fighting ability pretty well. Between all the different kinds of guns, the 3 different melee weapons, and the goddamn bear traps you can throw, this combat feels pretty close to what it looks like when Deadpool fights in the comics, so good on them. I especially like that if you hit the trigger while melee fighting, he'll start doing gun kata and the game looks like a Monty Ohm fight scene. This isn't one of those games where the upgrade tree feels tacked on and useless. The upgrades make a huge difference. You start to feel really powerful after you have all the improvements for your ammo capacity and health, because you're dishing out bullets like crazy and soaking up just as many like a red and black sponge.
I'm low on power, but rich in vitamin C.
Low on energy, but full of vitamin C.
If I had any complaints, it's that they took the dodge counter button from the Arkham series and they didn't quite do it right. It has the same problem as The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where the margin of error on the counter is so wide that it doesn't really matter how early or late you hit the button, as long as you hit the button. And on the occasions that you aren't close enough to counter the generic enemies, you'll just teleport. That's a bit overpowered to just hit a button and become invincible for a few frames. Plus, he hasn't had that teleporter belt thing since like 1999. He ditched it because, and I quote, "It made things too easy." Well, I guess all the game did was just confirm that. Another thing that I think could have been nerfed is the auto-aim. If you hit the aim button on one of your long-range weapons and the reticle is close enough to an enemy, you just snap over their chest and follow them like the Call of Duties. So just do what I do. Slap both triggers and never miss a shot. It sets your chances of the auto-aim unsnapping from the target to 0 because it readjusts to them after every bullet. The game becomes a cakewalk at that point. Jesus, they don't stand a chance. It's even worse when you upgrade the damage and ammo all the way on your weapons. I mean, it's a bit late now, but I'd suggest removing the auto-targeting in the sequel. Okay, Aww. Anyone who knows anything about Deadpool knows he's got a superpower called a healing factor that makes him damn near invincible. Which you wouldn't think would translate well to a game, but like X-Men Origins Wolverine, they did a pretty good job of making it work. You have a certain threshold of damage you can take before getting a game over, but your health regenerates. And so does your skin. And your suit too, I guess. Whatever, it would look weird if he was a naked zombie guy running around in red tatters with a bunch of weapons. I'll give that a pass. Another thing that helps this game stand out is that there's a lot of variety in the gameplay. Every mission has something new and weird to test out just to mix it up a little. Which is something games like Wolverine Origins and Spider-Man Edge of Time needed. A random turret section, some scenes with something funny like inverted controls, various ultra-violent mini-games, and some gimmicky maze areas go a long way to keeping it fresh. Although the joke that, hey, it's a video game, starts to wear out after a while. It's like every 5 minutes they have to throw in some pointless cutscene or some dialogue to mock game development and tropes. I get it, it's a video game. I am aware. It sure does help the immersion of the game when it keeps stopping to tell you what you're seeing isn't real. You can stop reminding me now, game, shit. It was funny the first 10 times. 11 through 500 got a bit tiresome. Sorry, getting sidetracked. Plot later, gameplay now. Hey, look, they stole a puzzle from X-Men Origins Wolverine. They actually stole a lot of stuff from that game. But hey, aspiring to be something good isn't a bad thing as long as you don't do it wrong. The bosses are kind of standard and even a little bit lame. There's not much of a gimmick to those beyond just shooting them till they die, which with my trigger hammering technique is trivial. So most of those suck. Actually, on the hardest difficulty, the final boss is a nightmare just because they throw so much at you. Every time I walk out that door, it spawns a few dozen enemies. Huh. Okay. Time to get creative. Haha! Yeah, a little bit of that. Some of those there. Maybe a couple more of those. Alright, and then I'll use this, and then, yeah, alright. Haha! Just like good old Frank Castle would have done. Well, as tough as they can be, the enemies are pretty bland. It's just guys in generic suits or clones of Mr. Sinister. Or, Dark Souls enemies with rocket launchers for some reason. Not sure what the hell is with those guys, they're super out of place. I think those are like a random character model that High Moon had from another project that got scrapped or something. On occasion, there are enemy types that resemble various cloned X-Men characters, but you'll be slashing and shooting and exploding them too frequently to even notice their powers or character designs. Look how hectic this is! If there wasn't a line of dialogue about this enemy type resembling Gambit, I probably wouldn't have even noticed while blowing them to bits on sight. Even if they try to mix it up here and there, this game still finds itself getting a little repetitive near the later sections. There's only so many times you can kill the same 4 enemy types before getting bored. But I'll chalk that up to budgetary constraints. This game is pretty cheaply made and they aren't ashamed of that. I really respect that it originally shipped for about $20 less than most games coming out at the time. It's not super impressive technically, but it's serviceable for the amount they charged. I'm pretty satisfied with what we got gameplay-wise. Plus, it's really neat that they managed to get that much dialogue into this game. The combat might get repetitive, but Deadpool's commentary does not. But the writing behind the game sort of kills that aspect. Okay, now we'll get to the story. The plot is paper thin. Deadpool goes on a random mission to kill some schmuck, gets intercepted by a boring random X-Men bad guy, teams up with some side characters that you don't see much, goes to an island, kills the bad guy. The end. It's disappointing to see that the plot is so non-existent, because I know this game is written by the same guy, Daniel Way, that wrote the book for 4 years. Just one surprise, one plot twist, one introspective character moment, one interesting villain. Anything. I know you're better than this, dude. Come on. What the fuck are you doing, Daniel? Daniel Way wrote one of my favorite comic arcs ever, where Deadpool is hired to assassinate Wolverine. They clash over the course of a few issues, escalating their plans of attack, having Deadpool use progressively more clever tricks to beat him. Then at the end, a big twist was thrown in that Wolverine was the one who hired Wade in secret so he could draw his son, Dakin, out of hiding to go keep Deadpool from killing him. There's a great scene where Deadpool and Wolverine talk and weigh their comparative angst, both having spent long stints as killers and pariahs in their respective pasts. Deadpool grew a lot as a character here because he showed his bitter rage at the world for not accepting him, but acting like Wolverine was awesome despite coming from basically the same origin story. Then in the game, Wolverine and Deadpool talk and it's just jokes. Wolverine says something and then Deadpool says jokes. Wolverine gets mad and Deadpool makes another joke. What gives, man? Why is it so hard to just give a shit? When the Arkham games exist, when Ultimate Spider-Man and Edge of Time exist, it's kind of inexcusable to have a veteran comic writer turn in such a shallow fucking script for one of these games. especially on a character that he popularized. You know, I find it funny that Deadpool's white monologue box is in this game because it was retconned a year later that this voice in his head is an obscure Captain America villain named Madcap. Go figure.
FYI for all you nerds out there getting all puffy over the fact that Rogue in the comics currently does not have the power to fly. Well, you can officially move out of your parents' basement, get a job and a life, and maybe, just maybe, you'll kiss a real girl.
You know, given that new context, that kinda doesn't hold up now. Huh. Now, before we get further into this, I have to address stupid people who will tell me I'm too worried about logic. It's just a video game. Story doesn't matter in games. Quit complaining. I don't think I'm expecting too much from video games. It's become a very influential storytelling medium in the past 30 years, and a lot of great writing can be found in the land of video games. Yeah, you can have games without story like your Minecrafts, your Trials, your Garry's Mods, your Tetrises, and your Destinies, but if your game does have a story, I think it's fair for me to expect that it's a damn good one. If you say logic and good writing don't matter, you're saying you're okay with mediocrity and lazy storytelling. Art dies when critics stop caring enough to complain for the right reasons, and artists are praised for putting in minimal effort. We as players deserve better than that. Again, if your game has a story, it better be a good one. Especially in a game based on a goddamn comic book. If a book, a movie, a TV show, or any other type of story gets adapted into a new format, the adaptation has a responsibility to be a good representation and honor its source material. And if not that, at least make something new and interesting with it, not dumb it down and make it worse. Otherwise, you run the risk of alienating previous fans and misinforming new ones. Which leads us to our larger point. Is this game a good representation of Deadpool? Fuck no. And now this is the way most people think Deadpool is all the time. Yeah, it was written by Daniel Way, who I'll admit is the writer who got me into reading the character during the Secret Invasion way back in 2008, but here he just didn't try hard enough to come up with an actual plot. You could ask almost any random person on the street today how they found out about this relatively obscure character, and I can guarantee half of them will point to this game, and then the rest will say it was the movie. The timing of Deadpool's newfound popularity and the release of this game are way too close to be a coincidence. So it's safe to say that this game pretty much brought Deadpool to the mainstream. That's cool, I respect that. It took one of my favorite characters ever and made it so I look less like a freak in public for my dress sense. Thanks, High Moon. However, it created numerous giant misconceptions about the character and painted a really inaccurate picture of him in the public eye. It's strange to think about how this game contributed so much to the character's reputation while also actively damaging it. There's the version of Deadpool that most people know about.
Chimichangas! Memes! Well, I know I'm a fictional character, isn't that clever? Remember Taken? With Liam Neeson? Remember that? Masturbation jokes! Dubstep! Other things young people like! Hey, did you know it's a video game you're playing? I bet you didn't know that! I'm gonna keep talking about it the whole time! Ha 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 ha! Mexican food! I have voices in my head and neither of them are funny!
And there's the one they don't care enough to know about. Something I see quite often is Deadpool being referred to as a joke character, not unlike Squirrel Girl or One Punch Man, where the idea is they're really just there to be silly, overpowered, and not much else. As a fan, it's sad to see that because he's a character with so much more subtlety and nuance than that. It's like this game painted a picture of him to just be Family Guy the superhero. He's just shouting swear words and dated internet references and acting uncharacteristically dumb. The scene that really killed my hype was when Deadpool was so unaware of the severity of the situation that Cable had to talk down to him like a small child and say that if he didn't defeat the bad guy, his favorite taco restaurant would be destroyed. Okay, Deadpool's a little relaxed during dire situations, but he's not stupid. I have no idea why, but Daniel Way wrote him to be a complete blithering idiot in this game, despite writing him to be really smart during his run in the comics. There's also the fact that Cable can't get him to meet him somewhere unless he makes up a story about a buxom fangirl that will leave in an hour. It's so goddamn irritating that Deadpool's turned into a drooling moron for laughs in his own game. The guy can single-handedly kill every superhero in the Marvel Universe by himself. It's a little dumb, but that is actually canon now because he hangs out with the original universe Deadpool. He can trick the Hulk into giving him a blood sample, he can disarm a nuclear reactor, he can single-handedly destroy the world's largest superpowered terrorist organization, he can save the multiverse 3 times, but he's not smart enough to walk somewhere by himself without being duped? What the fuck are you doing? He's just so nonchalant about everything. Wade never seems like he actually really gives a shit about what's happening, so it's hard to get invested. If he doesn't care, why should the player care? It makes the game tedious because instead of having tension, he's just cackling away through all this mindless violence like nothing matters. Even a game like Saints Row isn't dumb enough to have 0 stakes in the story and only do jokes. I actually think the movie also suffers from a few of the same problems as this game. Boring villain, ineffectual bad guys, random X-Men tagging along for no reason. But at least it had Wade and Vanessa's relationship as an emotional center, and Wade seemed to care what was going on. He got angry, he got sad, he got scared, he even had some self-esteem issues. It was minimal, but it was light years better than just nothing. This game created the version of Deadpool that I hate. He's loud, obnoxious, vulgar to the point of sounding like he's trying too hard, overly violent, never takes anything seriously, and worst of all, he has no heart. It's just a shallow base level of the character with all the interesting layers underneath stripped out to simplify it for new people. This is a Deadpool game made for people who don't know anything about Deadpool. The real character has a few of these traits, sure, but that's only if you don't see it for what it is. Deadpool is a tragic character that hides his pain behind jokes. He spent his whole life getting knocked down and turned into a villain by people around him. He struggled with suicidal depression and self-loathing. At his core, he's a character that just wants to be loved, but also wants to keep being himself, and those two things conflict. He's a bad guy that's trying to learn how to be good and having a really difficult time with it. But every day he makes a little progress. Learning to earn people's respect, making friends, being good to his family, and not letting fame change him for the worse. He went from being a random 90s supervillain to being a main fixture on the Avengers, and shed a lot of tears and blood on his way there. Sure, he makes a few bad jokes, but I don't consider him just another one-note comedy character. This game took away the sad part of Sad Clown and just made him an annoying jackass. I think it's frankly just as insulting as the Barakapool version in X-Men Origins. Except this one pisses me off more because they successfully got away with it and nobody complained. And people keep making mind-numbingly unfunny memes with him now because they don't take the time to actually understand what the fuck this character is actually about. There's a whole generation of people around my age that only know Deadpool as the guy who cusses, kills stuff, yells about chimichangas, and makes dumb shit references constantly. Are you serious? Look at the kind of products they slap his face on. That's not clever, that's just like a Minions meme. Or wait, it is a Minions meme! He doesn't even like chimichangas, he just likes saying the word over and over. And this panel was written by the same writer that came up with the chimichanga joke in the first place. God, how many fucking t-shirts are they going to slap his face on with some unrelated dumb quote that he would never say? Does Ryan Reynolds get upset that they keep photoshopping this shit on his pictures to sell things without his consent? Ugh, am I crazy? Are my standards too high? Am I just being an elitist comic-reading asshole who likes to ruin things for other people? No one gives a fuck about nerdy shit that only 2 people know about. 3D artist here. His suit is black with a blue specular map over it. You're spurging a bit. Spurging? What does that mean? Oh, so it means demonstrating aspects of Asperger's. Oh, I'll fucking show you Asperger's, Mr. Comment Man! You know, I just wasted a lot of time and resources trying to make a point to a single mean YouTube comment. Oh shit, maybe I do have Asperger's.
Oh, hey man, I got my cable costume all ready for the Deadpool sketch, so...
We're not doing it. No, it's canceled. We're not doing it anymore. I wasted all the YouTube video complaining about a comment. Just get
See
out.
if I do this again.
We're covered. It's done. It's done. Get out of here. We're done. Fuck it. Fuck my life.
I love Deadpool. I probably find him more relatable than Spider-Man in terms of personality, and it sucks to see the whole world think of him as a joke. In 2009, I made a clay statue of him for a school project in 5th grade. I went as Deadpool for Halloween when I was 10. In 2011, I had my grandpa paint a mural of him on my wall. My first tattoo was the Deadpool logo. This is my senior photo for my yearbook. I can't believe I got away with that! But what I'm saying is, I find this character a lot more interesting and intelligently written than people and this game give him credit for. So if you're one of those bandwagon fans that discovered Deadpool through this game and thinks he's all jokes and excessive violence, I implore you, please go read the comic, because there's so much more to him than what you saw here. As it is, I respect this game's place in history, and I know its intention wasn't to mislead people about Deadpool, but it really missed the mark. The game part of it is fine, but the Deadpool part is way off, and I want people to stop saying the character is an irritating moron because this version of him is so prominent. So, I would not recommend this game for Deadpool fans. But for everyone else, if you want a really cheap hack and slash game with some fun gunplay, you could just get an old copy of Devil May Cry. If you want to claim to be a fan of something, you need to support it and you need to understand it. You can't walk around dressed in football jerseys telling people you love the sport and not be able to name a single player. You can't walk around with a Harry Potter quote tattooed on your arm and not know which character even said it. If you think something seems interesting, go out and support it. Research it. Become an expert with it. Turn on the TV and watch some of those football games. Go read the Harry Potter books and watch the movies. Leave the Hot Topic and go read some Deadpool comics. They're pretty good. Well, you know, except for the ones written by Christopher Priest. Those suck. Bitch, bitch, bitch. I liked it before it was cool. I'm a huge hypocrite because I wear all the same dumb clothes. Nobody knows how to like the same things as me the right way. Everybody's enjoying the same things as me incorrectly. I liked it before it was cool. Now it's too mainstream. You know, I've loved this character for a long time. And now that everyone loves him, I feel like they're loving him the wrong way. They love him for his body, not for his beautiful soul.